Well, hello everybody and welcome along to Porsche Carrera Cup North America. You join us as we have started the race 5 minutes earlier than advertised, so apologies for that. At the front of the field, Ryan Yardley, who qualified on pole position, has taken the lead. Riley Dickinson was on the outside of pole and was in second position. A 40-minute race time certain. Peter Mackay alongside me is in the IMSA Global Broadcast Centre with me. The championship very much in the Pro to the advantage of Riley Dickinson.
Yeah, Riley's had a fantastic start to the season. He kicked off in great fashion at Sebring International Raceway, and at the moment leads the way by 14 points from Yves Baltas. Although this weekend here at Montreal, at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, it's been Ryan Yardley who set not only the fastest time in qualifying, but the second fastest time. Why is that significant? Well, because that sets the grid for tomorrow's second race. So Yardley will be starting on pole for both races, and he is leading away strongly at the front of the field at the moment, pulling away from Riley Dickinson. And then in third, it's actually Tyler Maxson, who's made a fantastic start from 6th on the grid.
Other parts of the championship, there are 3 championships here. Pro at the front of the field, Pro-Am and Masters. Mostly down to the age of the drivers. The cars are all identical, by the way. JP Martinez is doing a bit of a Riley Dickinson in the Pro-Am category. In fact, actually, he's a point better off in terms of his overall standings. But he's had to be, because Alan Metney's pushed him hard in second. 82 points to Martinez, and Metney 74 in second, is 5 ahead of James Sofronas on 69. And in the Masters, Scott Blind has been incredible. 106 points to Todd Parrio's 67. Here last year, Yves Baltas won race 1, Luke Hartog race 2. I seem to remember it was wet. We didn't get a lot of mileage in at least one of those races, but we're off and running now on this Formula One weekend with just on 36.5 minutes to go, and Ryan Yardley in the black and orange machine pulls away. Then it's Riley Dickinson in second place. In third, it is Tyler Maxson, and already a problem.
That's Ashley Freiberg's pulled over to the side of the road.
Ashley, who was looking forward to this race, very good indeed on the road circuits, on the street circuits, my apologies.
I think there might have been contact. Yes, there was, with the 37 of Matthias Least. Sabre Cook, actually. Sabre Cook, there's contact there, and it was unfortunately Ashley Freiberg who came off second best there of that one, coming through the turn 6-7 chicane, unfortunately, and just clips the front right wheel off the wall, and that's going to be, unfortunately, no further action for Ashley Freiberg. What a shame. What a pity.
Ryan Yardley is absolutely knocking it out of the park here.
To the NASCAR.
As he's pulling away from a quality field. Now, Riley Dickinson has been imperious this year. He's in second place, down by 1.5 seconds, with Tyler Maxson another 0.8 away in third. And coming through in 5th position, the number 2 of Jimmy Libre. No, in fact, it's Zach Vanier who's just nipped ahead of him there. Keep an eye on that second place car. I wonder now at this part of the championship, as we're sort of moving into the second half of the championship, Peter, what you do if you're Riley Dickinson, because you've got that decent lead. There's no need for him to win this race, either of these races today. He's just got to
which will conclude at the Circuit of the Americas in mid-October, and there's a lot of racing to happen between now and then. I think you want to get the points on the board if you absolutely can. And Riley Dickinson, yes, he's had a fantastic start to the season, but it just takes one thing to go wrong. I mean, look what happened at Miami, of course, that penalty, that technical infraction meant he had to start in the back.
Pedro Torres in the pit lane, the Torres number 16 car in Pro-Am. So at the start of the race, it was very clean indeed from Ryan Yardley in the black and yellow car as we came to the green flag, and it was behind where all the action was, including a shortcut from the number 9 of Zach Vanier.
Now, there may well be race control coming in there, because he may well have gained an advantage, Zachary Vanier. This is his home event as such. He's from Ontario, Montreal in Quebec, but normally actually Zach and his father end up, they drive to a lot of the races down in the United States, so he's used to a long journey. So this is his home country race, if you like. There's the 77 of Tyler Maxson in a big battle here then with Yves Bottas, who goes through. So Bottas, who goes through, who was so strong at Miami. In fact, Maxson's lost 2 places. That's a really costly error from Maxson, because he's lost the position. He's lost 3rd position to Bottas and indeed to Zach Vanier.
Peter Mackay and John Hindhoff with the Porsche Carrera Cup North America 2025 is one of a number of event weekends that this championship has been sharing the F1 calendar. A moment or two ago, big dive down the inside by Yves Bottas. He was trying to make up a position on Tyler Maxson. Maxson hung on as much as he could through the first couple of corners, but had to give it up.
Just made a big error there. The rear of the car got away from Tyler Maxson. A big slide. In fact, he very nearly spun actually, but managed to gather it up, but lost 2 positions. Oh, heavy contact from Michael de Quesada. Moves up the inside and then spins. Michael de Quesada spins at the hairpin at turn 10. Oh, dearie me, the number 11 of Michael de Quesada, who's had such a good season so far, sitting 4th overall in the championship, went for an overzealous move up the inside, hit the other car, and just as he got back on the power, round he went.
Riley Dickinson has just put the fastest lap of the race in and begins to close in ever so slightly. A couple of tenths quicker than Ryan Yardley last time around. Down through the first corners for another battle further down the field, which is Matthias Liest, and he's in the number 47 car with the bright front end. Behind him, Jimmy Libra, and that was a change of position. Liest just going through on Libra.
There, de Quesada was looking to go up the inside at turn 10, and it just was very heavy on the inside, and then made contact with the other car, which I think was the number 8 of
it was Michael McCann.
Yes, McCann kept going, and then as soon as de Quesada got on the power, the rear of his 911 GT3 Cup twirled around. Has he got back moving again?
He must have.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. So that's good news, although right at the bottom of the field, which is a shame, because de Quesada has just been fantastic all season, actually, both at Sebring and indeed at the Miami Grand Prix. I must say, John, I mean, looking back to the Miami Grand Prix race, that was, both of them were absolute barnstormers. A great circuit to go and race on.
So still half an hour to go as this race begins to unfold down to the final corner and the wall of champions. The leaders have gone through. Yardley by now 1.4 seconds, and Dickinson, Riley Dickinson, trying to close the gap, but lost about 7/10 that time around. So moving out again. James Sofronas moving through the field as well, Peter, as he's trying to get back some positions.
James Sofronas leading the Pro-Am category at the moment from Patrick Mulcahy. The 0.7 of a second the gap there. JP Martinez, who's the leader in the championship, sits in third. Then it's Alan Metney, who's second in the very hotly contested Pro-Am championship. So for James Sofronas in third place, he's trailing by 13 points in the championship, so a class win here would be a great way to start off his weekend in Montreal.
Don't forget there's another race here tomorrow. We'll have that for you as well here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. Shadows just beginning to lengthen a little bit now. Yeah,
Montreal.
fabulous.
Yeah, great place, and fantastic to see so many fans in the grandstand. Sometimes on the F1 weekends the circuit can empty out quite quickly, but not the case. The fans have stayed here to enjoy some Porsche Carrera Cup North America racing, and they're being treated to some great action, particularly the number 15 Yves Baltas in the green and white machine, trying to hold off Zachary Vanier, who's looking very racy indeed as they come out of the first and second corners, and now moving up to the first chicane. Here comes Vanier on the brakes up the inside. There he goes then. Vanier moves up into the podium positions overall in the number 9 machine, Dom's Pizza car. There he goes, fantastic stuff. But Tyler Maxson has not let them go. That one mistake, he's desperate to avenge that.
So still more than half this race to be completed. Further down the field, the number 9 car of Zach Vanier in 4th position. Tyler Maxson in the green car.
Vanier now up to 3rd, of course.
Yes,
yeah,
excuse
he's
me,
got
yeah.
past Baltas, and it looks like he's going to pull away, actually, does Zachary Vanier. This is so important for him. He's had a mixed season so far, wants to try and get a good result on the board as Michael de Quesada into the pit lane, the mechanics going in to ask what's going on, and that's such a shame for de Quesada and the Allegra team, a team that he's driven with for so many years. Of course, won the Rolex 24 Hours in the GTD class back in 2017 in a Porsche.
12 points back of 3rd place in the championship. Ryan Yardley in the pro category, 53 to 65. Ryan Yardley leading the championship. If it finishes as it does, Ryan Yardley will go into 2nd in the championship, and Riley Dickinson will remain in the lead of the championship. Yves Baltas will drop down to 3rd position.
But Riley Dickinson might have something to say about that arithmetic, because in 2nd place he's just set the best lap of the race, a 136.7, 3/10 quicker than your race leader Ryan Yardley. The gap is now down to 1.2 seconds at the front of the field, so Dickinson getting closer, much like what we saw at Miami Grand Prix. There's a couple of big braking zones here at Montreal, and those are your opportunities to pounce and to try and overtake. And so there is, although it's a semi-temporary circuit, if you like, it is a track that you can still pass on. There's contact between the number 4 JP Martinez and I think that was Patrick Mulcahy getting into.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, the
13th.
54. Yeah.
12th and 13th.
But in class, 2nd place.
JP hitting the curbs really heavily there and almost into the Qatar Airways branding as they came out of turns 8 and 9, now down towards the final corner.
Problem there at the Wall of Champions chicane then for Yves Baltas, and that might, I tell you what, Tyler Maxson's going to be on the radio right now saying he needs to give that position back, because it was definitely an advantage gain there for Baltas, but Maxson is all over the back of Baltas at the moment, trying to move up into 4th place, and he's got the kind of over-under here as they head up towards the first chicane into turn 3 and 4, and he's got the move done nice and early. Or has he gone deep? He has got a little bit deep as Maxson just about gathers it all together while this battle is going on. Vanier has disappeared up the road in 3rd place.
So that was the battle for 4th place, and the 77 8X machine, for the moment at least, holds sway. The blue and yellow car, the green and white machine behind. the gap. We have reached half distance in the race. And the gap for the first time for quite a while actually is under a second. It is 0.992 of a second. How appropriate given the make and model and type number of these cars. Then there's 5.8 seconds between Riley Dickinson and Zach Vanier. But Vanier's really put the hammer down since he got into third position, Peter. He's pulled out 4.3 seconds on that battle behind him.
Yeah, very impressive there from Vanier, and that was simply because Bottas and Maxim were fighting so hard. Now, as they come over the line, Dickinson sets the fastest lap of the race again, 1:36.5, but Yardley has answered 1:36.6 with his personal best, so the gap does trim a touch, but it still sits at 0.824 of a second. So very, very close between two very impressive young drivers. Ryan Yardley from down under, and the Texan Riley Dickinson, former champion of course in this category, took a year away to do other bits and pieces in racing, and now back in the championship on, of course, a different tyre. We're now on the Yokohama tyre, which is something that we thought, how long is Riley going to take to get used to this? And we found out quite quickly in free practice one in Sebring, not very long at all.
He's back with a vengeance, isn't he?
Oh, yes.
You've got to say that. We've been effusive in our comments and compliments about Riley, but you've got to remember he's been driving these cars for quite a long time. He's still only 21, and he seems like he's been around for a very long time. You've just pulled a face there because you thought he's got to be older than that. I'm pretty certain he has just turned 21, possibly 22. I'll let you have a look at your stats there, because I know you will have researched that. But he's been driving these cars for 6 or 7 years. These type of cars.
I could even tell you when his birthday was. It was the 11th of May 2002, so that makes him just turned 23.
23, all right.
21 plus VAT.
Yeah, 21 plus sales tax.
That always gets you.
Yeah, always. Always. That pass from Tyler Maxson on Yves Bottas. The two brighter coloured cars, the blue with the bright yellow and the bright green car behind. Bottas has not dropped away at all. He's really keeping Tyler Maxson honest. Tyler, who will be on a plane on Sunday off to Europe, competing in the Nürburgring 24-hour race with some of his old teammates from the Pilot Challenge, I believe.
That'd be fantastic to see him. A great talent as Tyler Maxson. Was on one of the other support packages in the IMSA paddock. Came runner-up in the championship last year, so he knows what way around the way. Slightly lonely fourth place at the moment. Had got as far up as third, but that mistake where he dropped 2 positions, that really cost him. Really cost him. But a good run so far from Vanier. Unfortunately, Aaron Johnson had to start all the way in the back of the pack, so that is definitely. In fact, Johnson has made his way all the way from 24th to 10th. So that's a fantastic fight back from Johnson, because Johnson and Maxson are in a really hot battle for the rookie championship. Both have never been in this class before the start of the season, and well, they're in such a good battle. So at the moment, Maxson's going to trim the gap a little bit to Johnson, but Johnson is doing everything he possibly can to climb up the field. In fact, he's just gone past Michael McCann up into 9th place.
Now, Riley Dickinson has target acquired on the leader. These are 2 of the leading lights, first in the championship, chasing third in the championship. Copious notes being made on the pit wall of what's going on, the temperatures, the lap times, etc, etc. Still just on 20 minutes to go, as these 2 have pulled away from the rest of the field. some 4 seconds between the leading pair and Zach Vanier, who's turning very decent lap times, but at the moment he's not making inroads into the two leaders. Now that might change if these two start fighting. There's a few places here where if you decide to go side by side, you will be considerably slower than a driver taking the more traditional and optimum line.
Well, that's exactly what happened when Vanier managed to break away from Maxson and Bottas when they were battling.
Right.
That gave him several seconds instantly. What a battle at the front of the field. Ryan Yardley under pressure from Riley Dickinson.
Yeah, for those of you who follow Aaron Johnson, by the way, did not set a time in qualifying, which is why he started at the back in the number 24 Porsche. He has fought his way up to 9th position, and of course his lap time in this race will be used for his grid spot in tomorrow's race. So he's bound, given he didn't set any lap time, he's bound to be further up the field.
And he was quicker than your race leader last lap by, albeit by 33 hundredths of a second, but it's still on the pace of the leader. So we could see Johnson gain a few more positions here in the next 18 minutes or so. Fantastic from that young man. Oh, so the number 14 of James Sofronis getting a little bit of a tap from Patrick Mulcahy in the 54, which of course is the battle for the Pro-Am class win. Fantastic. And JP Martinez just behind thinking, yes, can you guys do a bit more of that so I can catch up? And
green edges to the number plates. That is the Pro-Am. We haven't mentioned our Am battle further, or Masters battle should I say, further down the field. Scott Blind leading from Todd Parriott, and there are, should I say, 3 cars between them. Side by side action into the braking areas at the end of the lap, and again the chicane being missed there, and that will be looked at, I'm sure. That's Yves Baltas in the green and white car. We saw that happen before. He's having a go at Matthias Leist here as they're battling for position. There's a bit of debris between turns 1 and 2. Looks like part of a front splitter actually. That little bit of rubber that's on the bottom of the front air dam, and it is so important to these cars, Peters, and has been through various iterations of the Porsche Cup car. It looks such an innocuous part of the bodywork, but it is massively important. This all started back at the hairpin again between these two.
it did, yeah. Bottas just went a bit wide coming out of the turn 10 hairpin, and Matthias Leist gets run to the grass as he tries to make the move on Bottas. Bottas squeezing him into the grass. That's a little bit naughty, I would say, and close to the wall. Oh, that's pretty aggressive stuff there. And Bottas then has the straight line, this Wall of Champions chicane, which keeps him in position, so that there's plenty for the IMSA race control to chew over, I would say, after this one. But at the front of the field, it's Ryan Yardley who leads, with Riley Dickinson right on his case at the last timing point, 0.4 of a second between them. It might even be closer than that now as they clip through the Wall of Champions chicane.
Still 15.5 minutes to go, and what we're going to find out now is who has saved some performance on their Yokohama tyres. By the way, that is a part of the front splitter, because I can see the bit that goes over the end of the edge of the front air dam at either edge of it. Riley Dickinson, for the moment, has dropped away 2 or 3 tenths from the leader, Brian Yardley.
He's just lost 3/10 in that first sector alone, so a little mistake there from Riley Dickinson in that opening sector. In the number 91 Kelly Moss Racing machine, the most successful team in the history of this championship. They've proven themselves to be the benchmark team that everyone is going after. And in the Masters Championship, Scott Blind, well, he had a mixed weekend at Miami, and well, this time much better, leading the Masters category by 24 seconds from Todd Parriott.
Keeping an eye on that Pro-Am battle as well. James Sofronas holds that advantage at the moment.
Car number 69, Tom Collingwood. Good to see him out in the Pro-Am. Fantastic colours from the Porsche 917 in 1970 at Le Mans, the hippie car, as it was often known as, which was actually a Martini entered car. Had a tiny little Martini logo, which Count Rossi of Martini was not so pleased with that. He was even less pleased at the pink pig, but both, of course, have won their way into our hearts at least.
It took the second time around for the pink pig livery to be successful at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It was brought back as a heritage livery on the RSR in the GT E era, the GT Le Mans era, and promptly won its class. Lawrence Vanto has got everything possible in pink pig livery, including his road bike that he trains on. Got his road bike sponsorship company to make him a road bike.
Match's least has moved past. Just got a move done there at turn 10, just a little bit wide for Baltas, and that allowed Least to go through. These Porsche 992 GTP Cup machines, you will see them running in the Global 1 Super Cup and various Carrera Cup championships around the world. In some championships they run without the ABS system. Here they run with the ABS system. So you won't see these cars locking up as much, but you might see them running a little bit deep if they get a little bit too greedy on the brake pedal.
There was a lot of chat about that when this 992 Cup car made its debut in this series. The Porsche Carrera Cup North America was the first series in the world, including Super Cup actually. They had these cars and raced these cars ahead of the Super Cup debut, what, 4 seasons ago now. And there was a lot of debate and chat about having the ABS. The thinking from Porsche Motorsport North America is that the majority of the young drivers here will be going on to GT4 or GT3 racing, and it was felt that it would be a good part of their training and their experience to give them the opportunity to find out about race-based systems. Spin for Alan Mentney. And, oh, Alan, no. I know why he wanted to get out of the way, but he drove over the curb and got very, very airborne indeed. That was, well, he owns a company called iFly, which is indoor skydiving. Well, I don't know about iFly, but he flew right there, all 4 wheels off the ground. That cannot have been comfortable for Alan within the car, or indeed for the car itself. And actually, that almost didn't look real, Peter, because he wasn't going that quickly, but he was launched off the curb, had a spin whilst he was battling the red, white and black car, and gets it back into first to pull out the way.
Lex, the Masters leader, Scott Blind, who's got a huge lead in that category, and that's, a rough ride there for Alan Mentney. But these cars are built strong. The Porsche 992 GTD Cup is team owner Victoria Thomas watching on, and thinking, that's my car, be careful with it. Well, but these cars, they're built tough, and they're built so tough, in fact, that there's a company in Belgium that have created a rally car out of them.
Yeah.
And Danny Sordo, a multiple World Rally Championship rally winner, is going to compete in one of the Ypres Rally next week.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch that with interest.
He was out testing last week, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
Very,
It takes me back to my youth, where with Porsche 911s doing tarmac rallies. And we also saw the all-wheel drive version doing rallies as well, more like the Rally Raid that sort of spawned the 959. And of course, in terms of the 992 type cars that we're seeing here, that has been also resurrected with the Porsche 911 Dakar. See a few of those around. Not many of them getting dirty, in fairness. Although they did take one to the top of the mountain.
A few. Jeff Swart, he takes us out in the snow and all sorts.
Well, that's
where
Jeff.
he lives. That's Jeff, yes. And,
Pikes Peak this weekend. Jeff will be doing that.
Now move up the inside for Aaron Johnson, who moves up into 8th place at turn 10, then on Sabra Cook.
That's been a good drive from the back of the grid, hasn't it?
Yeah, from 24th to 8th. That's what Aaron Johnson is capable of. He came to prominence in 2 ways, both from his performances in the Mazda MX-5 Cup, but also in the Team USA program. He was picked for the Team USA scholarship, and deservedly so.
Now battling through to the last 10 minutes. Under that now, Matthias Leist has got company, and it's still Yves Boltas. Yves Boltas here, 2nd position in the championship, and he needs these points. He's not going to stay in 2nd position in the championship with Ryan Yardley leading the race and just 2 points behind him as we came into this race weekend here at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So another place, extra points, it'll soften the blow, but he will be 3rd, I reckon, Peter, unless something bizarre happens at the front of the field. He will be 3rd in the championship by the time we line up on the grid tomorrow. Yeah,
it looks like it, but still plenty to shake out, I think, in the next 8 minutes in this battle with Matthias Leist in the 47 machine, the former IndyCar driver, of course.
Oh yeah.
So just finding his feet with the Porsche 992 GT3 Cup. It's the Brazil.
Yeah, in the Nola Sport car, the white and yellow car. Not the first former IndyCar champion we've seen in this championship, of course.
True, and we've even seen multiple NASCAR champions competing when Jeff Gordon competed in the.
Who was the NASCAR? British?
I'll
let you get there.
Yeah, okay.
I'll let you get
got
there.
me on that one. You got me on that one.
I'll let you get there.
That's annoying me now.
So Fronas and Martinez still battling for the Pro-Am lead at the moment, and they are in 11th and 12th position. Lights flashing now for the leader, Ryan Yardley. This is danger time for him. He's pulled out for 1.6 seconds, but we've got 6.5 minutes to go, and we do have traffic ahead of the leader. Number 14 is that battle for the lead. James Sofronas. Martinez right in his wheel tracks now through the chicane, heading out to the far side of the circuit, in and out of the dappled sunshine in the early evening here. Good to see that after a busy day of Formula One action and open wheel action, the crowd have stayed on. There's a good crowd here enjoying the evening sunshine and the unmistakable bark of the 4-litre normally aspirated flat 6 engines around Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Echoing off the wall, so you get an even better sonorous experience from those amazing engines. And this is a circuit that they've always had educated fans and passionate fans, named after the great Gilles Villeneuve, who won here they had his debut F1 win here in 1978, won 6 Grand Prix, 3 of them were on street tracks. He was a real street master, was Gilles Villeneuve.
Still, this battle has yet to be resolved. Round the outside towards the final corner. Oh, and again there's a bit of hip and shoulder and cutting across as they come in, and there's not a chance that last chicane was going to be made there. And that is another cut through, this time by Martinez, and he's lost a position or two. Oh, sorry, he's gained a position in doing that.
They both ended up cutting the chicane eventually. So this might well be in play in the favour of Patrick Mulcahy here.
I'm not sure moving across there by Martinez was the right thing to do. Yeah, you're right, actually. Sofronas did the same thing. Sofronas, however, slowed down as he went through the line. He's deliberately lost time there.
Clever.
To try and appease race control. He will say he was forced into that, but he did not gain a lasting advantage in either time or distance. Meantime, Riley Dickinson is now pushing hard, and once again it's under a second. He's half the distance between himself and the leader. 4 minutes to go as they start another lap. There'll be at least another 2 laps, possibly 3. It'll just depend when they cross the line. Of the lead battle. Sofronas now with company in the shape of that number 54, the Pro-Am third place driver. That's okay. So first, second and third in Pro-Am, heading down towards the final corner. I just wonder what's going to happen with Martinez.
I think there's a few incidents like that the race controllers are going to have to chew over and get the opinion of both drivers, get to see the footage on board and take a look at it and see if there's any penalties to be handed out after the race. So the race being out, the results which we get will be very much provisional after this one, I think, because Dickinson's trying everything. If we thought he was just going to back off and just take points for second, I just don't see that body language right now. Coming out of on the last lap, or sorry, at the beginning of this lap, coming out of the Wall of Champions chicane, he was right up to the wall and almost into the grass as well. He's trying everything to put Yardley under pressure and trying to force him into a mistake.
I think Dickinson's played a very, very sensible game here. He didn't try to push hard early on and catch and race with Ryan Yardley. That allowed him to save the performance in his Yokohama tyres. Now, Ryan sort of pulled the pin and got away, but then he eased off as well. So I'm guessing their tyre performance levels, if we had a little graph or a little bar that told us how much performance they've got left there, I think they would look pretty similar. There's tension on the Kelly Moss Racing wall as they know their championship leading car is right in the mix for another victory here, but it could be first place points on the wall, and I think they'd rather take second place points than no points at all.
Definitely they do, and live to fight another day tomorrow. And of course Yardley, he's sitting 16 points behind in the championship, third place right now.
Sofronas has got by Martinez in the Pro-Am battle, new 11th place driver. So I wonder if Martinez has dropped back then to try and avoid a penalty. It's 1.5 seconds to the advantage now of James Sofronas. And
now,
where did that happen? That was down. Was that down at the hairpin?
Martinez and Mulcahy battling away over the position behind, so it must that was at turn 10, so it must have been before that. But Sofronas back into the lead. There's Riley Dickinson. They call it the Wall of Champions for a reason. He is a champion, but he will not want to be in that wall, that is for sure. I bet you there is some of the Wall of Champions on the side of that beautiful Kelly Moss machine.
Final lap just starting, and this is still by no means over. Also, that I'm keeping an eye on with the split times as they go through. They're starting their final lap now. Riley Dickinson, is second place points enough? It's great news for Ryan Yardley. This will vault him over Yves Bottas and into second place in the Pro Championship. JP Martinez in Pro-Am has not scored well today, but he is so well. And Alan Metney, his closest contender, he's not in the top couple of drivers either. In the Masters, Scott Blinn could go on holiday for a couple of weeks, and he's not here this weekend.
Yes, he is. He's leading.
Excuse me. Yes, he is. He's leading here, so he's going to extend his lead on Tom Pario, the only other competitor here. He's going to extend it even further, but frankly, Scott could go on holiday for a couple of rounds. Debris flag out on the run down to the final chicane for the last time. The 45 minutes has elapsed and Dickinson has eased off at the line. So Ryan Yardley, after being under pressure, takes what appears to be a relatively controlled win, and a lights to flag one at that, Peter.
Fantastic. What a way to get the season going for Ryan Yardley. He's been thereabouts all season. He was quick in testing at Sebring pre-season, but he's had effectively been the bridesmaid over the first few races, and finally gets that top spot. Fantastic stuff for Ryan Yardley and his first win here on the streets of Montreal.
Disappointment for Ashley Freiberg early on when her car ground to a halt and was pulled behind the wall. She will not finish. Also the Torres car and the De Quesada machine with problems. Here comes the battle in the Pro-Am category, and the blue number 14, James Sofronas, takes the win, and that will close him up on Alan Metney. And what's it? Metney's well down there, you know. So it's Sofronas first, Martinez second, Mulcahy third, Marco Chirone in fourth, Metney in sixth. Sofronas, I reckon, will go into second place in the championship there over Alan Metney in the Pro-Am Championship. So both third place drivers in their respective championship in Pro and Pro-Am winning their races today, and therefore moving themselves up into second in the championship. All very provisional. Hindhoff doing arithmetic in his head is always just a little bit dangerous.
Great reception from the crowd here at Turn 10. Fantastic,
yeah.
Proper, knowledgeable crowd. You know, we've seen it at other Formula One venues where the venue will clear out very quickly, and you know there's other things going on. But here they're real proper race fans at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. History at this circuit. Some of the best Formula One Grand Prix in history have been here. I'll never forget the 28
sports car races as well.
Yes, World Sports Cars came in 1990. There was quite a few Porsches in that event. Harry Toivonen took part in that event.
Yeah, I talked to him about that.
Porsche rally driver Henry Toivonen.
Yeah, lovely bloke, really lovely bloke. So into the pit lane for Ryan Yardley with the TCS sponsored machine in the Solaris Pro category, and he will therefore get the full F1 experience. Pulls to the end of the pit lane, which mercifully is in the shade, and already undoing his belts. That is a very happy young driver and a very happy team.
Yet another driver from the Antipodes, supported by the Giltrap group, who have put so much into New Zealand motorsports, so much.
Top Racing is the team, and is another one of our super teams in this category of racing. They know how to run cars. That'll be a popular win, I think, you know, up and down the pit lane. Ryan's worked very, very hard for this. Come over to the US, to North America, to give this one a go. It's good to see as well. The competitors have such respect for each other in this race.
They all know what each other's going through, both in and out of the car. There's so much that these young drivers put into their craft in terms of their ability and fighting for every thousandth of a second. But it's more than that. It's putting the budget together to go racing. Is so much effort for these drivers.
Correct.
And they all know that, what each of them goes through to do that. And yeah, there is great mutual respect. I love Zachary Vanier. He's gone for his home race full Canadian spec with his overalls.
Full Canuck.
He's got the
plaid shirt,
the plaid shirt, and then the sort of dungarees bottoms. They aren't. It looks like that. Of course, it's a proper race suit, of course. But
he's got the over-the-shoulder braces on as well, onto what looked to be denim pants. with the plaid shirt on top. Brilliant stuff. Now we'll keep hold of the leaders. Vanier at the, Yardley at the end. The margin of victory just under 2 seconds. I suspect that Riley Dickinson realised that he wasn't going to get into a position to be able to challenge that number 78 car without putting himself at risk and that second place at risk. And there's really no need for that. Ryan Yardley takes the full points in the... A bit of jiggery and, if you will, pokery at the final chicane. I think that was the right thing to do, if I'm honest, for James Martinez to allow James Sofronas to go back through. Martinez then in second place. So the GMG racer takes the top spot of the podium for Pro-Am, and it will be Scott Blind, the runaway leader in the Masters, who extends his lead on Todd Parriott by the difference between first and second.
Yeah, he's just opening up that gap. Is Scott Blind had a mixed weekend at Miami Grand Prix, but yeah, just putting the points on the board. And unfortunately, we haven't got so many of the Masters here this weekend. But Scott Blind showing that to win a championship, you've got to be there, and that's exactly what he's doing, clocking up those points. And then the Pro category, also a major mention to Aaron Johnson, who started right in the back of the field in 24th. He got all the way to 7th, and his best lap of the race, a 136.7 on that last lap. In fact, 136.7 on that last lap. He was as quick as the leaders.
Don't forget, of course, there is a championship within a championship for those drivers who didn't want to come and do the Formula One support races.
The Andile Trophy, yes,
yeah.
Named after the amazing engine building and tuning firm that effectively morphed into Porsche Motorsport North America, founded by Alvin Springer, Dieter Eisenhofer and Arnold Wagner. And they changed the game in the supply of Porsche engines, particularly. They were great engine tuners and really hit their stride with the 935 and indeed the 962 when it made its way to the United States too. So yeah, the Andile Trophy is the award for those that run on just the IMSA package events, the non-F1 events. The drivers getting to enjoy the highlights of the race. Of course, they'll be blissfully unaware of what happened at other ends of the field, but Ryan Yardley watching, and they're all having a good laugh. James Sofronas there, the Pro-Am winner, and Scott Blind, the Masters winner. I quite like that, have the 3 class winners rather than overall 1, 2, 3.
Just
I think it's a great idea.
Third,
yeah, we saw that at Miami too.
Scott Blind for Ruckus Racing takes the AM category. He's in the purple and yellow suit. In the Moet Chandon chill out room, James Sofronas in the red, white and blue GMG racing suit, and right in the middle with the TCS branded suit is the man who took the overall, Ryan Yardley. So we wait for the podium. And it will be those class winners rather than the top 3. Constant Juris as well. Unofficial results then. Yardley, Dickinson, Vanier we've talked about. Tyler Maxson had a decent race in 4th position. Matthias Leist and Eve Boltas, race-long battle really. Aaron Johnson from the back of the field to 7th. Jimmy Lieber in 8th. Sabra Cook well inside the top 10 at 9. And Michael McCann rounds up those top 10 positions. And 11th and 12th, that was the Pro-Am battle between James Sofronas, JP Martinez, and in fact Patrick Mulcahy. Matty Stewart in 14th position ahead of Pro-Am's Marco Cironi, and Alan Metney does not get the points he wanted. Scott Blind wins the Masters in 17th position. And there are the dulcet tones of Bob Constantiouris. Let's hear the formalities.
Well, that's the line yardly. The trophies are presented by Sue McDonald.
Well, a New Zealand winner on the famous circuit of Gilles Villeneuve, named after Gilles Villeneuve. And Ryan Yardley, his first win of the season. Not so much for James Safronas. He loves being up there, as does Scott. But Scott Blaine is having just a cracking season. And Todd Parriott in second place, also here this weekend. But him finishing second, he's still lost ground to Scott Blaine. In the championship, Riley Dickinson continues to lead Pro, but it is Ryan Yardley now in second. Heath Boltas in third as the champagne is sprayed. JP Martinez, not the best of days for him. I think he'll just hold on to his championship lead. Alan Bettany also not scoring well in the silver number 99 car. So James Safronas, courtesy of his win today, will go into second in the Pro-Am. And tomorrow they'll do it all again. We'll reset the grids and take either their second best qualifying time from earlier in the weekend or their best race lap from this race, whichever is the quicker. And that will set the race. Peter Mackay was alongside me, John Hindhaugh. Thanks to our... And also, of course, to our camera operators and everyone on site here at the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve, I'm John Hindhaugh. Bye for now.